the chop saw. Give me a quick second while I tell my server people that they should be looking for my thing. Copy URL, paste it here. Okay, so today we're going to be working on the chop saw. So what we want to do here is first off we got to go through and relabel all this stuff. Because I used a I just assigned materials and I didn't rename them. I need to name this what it is. So this here is the saw, and motor. Back, holding plate, tightening handle, and rod holder. Alright, let's find out what the rest of these do. Look at it from the side here. Okay, so that is a pivot rod. That is the tightening base plate. I don't know what this does. What we can do is we can just hide all this stuff. Ah, it's a bolt. Or an yeah, a bolt. So we'll call this bolt. And then here we'll call this tightening rod. These are bolts. And then it looks like we have the rest of it done. Okay. Alright, so let's get started. So, what do you guys think we should do? All right. So we want to, let's work on the base first. Okay. So all we have to do is make the base. I didn't realize that the things here be problematic. Might have to fix that. Let's go to Blender. Metal workbench. Go here, go here. Go to this. Yeah. Looks like this guy and this guy need to be reversed. Mesh, normals, flip here, and alright, that looks good. Alright, so now that we have to essentially re-import this, what we're going to do is we're going to be smart about it, and we're going to name the things that they should be named. Now, of course, this stuff can always be renamed later. Alright, so now that I've technically gone through and named the materials, let's go ahead and click on here and export it. File, export, downloads, shop saw. Let's go back. Let's export it one more time because I think it didn't export anything. And what we need to do is we need to make a new one. We're going to go with a 2K one, and we're going to go here. Hey, zombie. We're going to be working on texturing the chop saw today. Okay, let's check to make sure I fix the issues. Oh, yep, looks good there. Looks good there. Ooh, to look at that. This guy right here. Yeah. Okay, let's fix that. So Blender, go here, and we're gonna go to our solid. We're gonna go here, and we're gonna go mesh, flip, and then we're gonna look at it again, and it looks good. Okay, so let's export this real quick, and then do that. We'll go new. Again, we'll go 2K, and then we'll import this. Alright, looks good, and you can see all my materials are named. So if I hide that, I can hide the base, I can hide the blade, I can hide the bolts, you know, hide the edge holder rod, flat edge holder, static mount. Alright, So all this is now hidden. Okay, so we're going to do is we're going to say call save. All right, now we have the project saved, and now it will auto save every so often for us, which can be very, very handy in the future. So let's start with the base first. Okay, so we have a base. The base is going to be the overall color theme for the model. I mean, for the entire saw. So what we want to do here is we want to think about what do we want it to look like? Like, how do we want this saw to look? Because it's in Russia. It's probably going to look like it's been used. So it has a little bit of wear and tear on it. And we also wanted to make also kind of to fit the some of the other stuff that we've done. So I posted pictures of some of the stuff that I've done. On Facebook. So I'm just going to pull that up real quick and take a quick look at it. So it looks like in the past we've gone with some red and steel looking stuff, which is really cool if you ask me. Sorry. Yeah, so one of the things that I did was so I've already made a drill press. Now, I know people would tell me there's already a drill press in the game, but the fact of the matter is that you can't do things with already existing models, like DayZ models, because they're binized, right? So I made my own drill press because I can do some cool things with it, like adding its own proxies and other things to it as well. So this is what it looks like here. Now, I think we should go for a similar look with the chop saw. So the base will be red. There will be some metal areas on it. And stuff like that. So what I want to do is we're going to go with a rust, a coarse rust, right? Now, honestly, before I get started with everything, what we want to do is we want to bake our maps. All right. So what we do is we go to baking and we go to bake all texture sets. This is going to take a second for it to happen, and it might lag out the stream. Now this is doing it for everything, not just the base. As you can see, flat edge, it's going through it. And what this is doing is this is generating the other textures, the SMDI, the lighting, the normal mapping, the height map, all that kind of stuff, generating it all for me to use. So now, as you can see, I have, some remnants of other things on here. So you can see that this is where the static mount would go and stuff like that. Now there is a way to get rid of this, and it's called ambient occlusion. And I'm going to be getting rid of all on that for the rest of the projects. The reason for getting rid of it is because it creates a shadow of the product, of the thing above. So that's something to keep in mind. So we'll throw the rust course on here, and now we can see it looks a lot better than it did before we baked it, right? So, mind you, I am not a texture guy. I do not support, I do not do textures well. So if you are here to learn how to do textures, you're watching the wrong person. No joke. You're watching the wrong person. Alright, well, because I think Zombie Lee is the only other person watching, I'm gonna wait for him to get back. Shouldn't be too long. Alright. Okay, so Zombie Lee's back. Welcome back, Zombie Lee. Alright, let's get to work. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to create some scratches. Now, the reason is because right here is essentially a moving part, and right here is where the blade goes down. So honestly, I don't want this to be all rusted. I want there to be some rust, so we're going to add a black mask. Now, if you don't know what a black mask does, is it pretty much allows me to do this. Alright, technically, if there is no black mask on it, it would show all over the place. But if I toggle a mask, it only shows what I want it to show. So now that we have that, we want to then do a kind of like a paint on there. So again, we're going off of the thing here, so it's reddish. So we want to go with a reddish paint, right? So we're gonna go with let's see what a plastic red grid looks like. No, I don't like that. So we could go with a steel rough, and then what we can do is we could then go dynamic and go dynamic, go to red, and then we can go to, well, we want to go to red, not purple. And we can go like that. We can darken it up a little bit. Okay, and then Now, because of this steel, we want it to have a little bit of roughness, right? And then we're going to go with a little bit less roughness. All right. So I think that looks pretty good. Looks like yeah, I think that looks good. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to add some rust. Now we can do lots of things. I honestly like to use alphas. And the reason why I like to use alphas is that alphas allow me to do some pretty cool things. So what I'm going to use is I want to use an alpha that will look like scratches. So maybe this alpha. And then we're going to go up to the tiling, and we're going to go like this. Now, technically, this is not going to work well. So what I want to do here is I want to put the alpha here, and then let's see if we can, yeah, see how it's random? That's because we have it set to be random. So what we want to do is go to the texture, maybe what we can do is we can make the flow a little bit higher, make it a bit thicker. Sometimes it doesn't work out really well. Yeah, so that looks good. So what we can do is we can go to here and go like that. So this is rust, okay? So I'm being silly. I should not be working with these kind of patterns when I'm trying to make a look of rust, right? Okay, so what we want to do here is I want to find out why. So we're going to increase the height range, the normal intensity, and we're going to put a normal map on this. And we're going to go back here and now we don't want that high of normal intensity, right? So what we want to do is go back here. We're going to lower the position. So we're going to lower all these just a little bit. Then go back here. So now we have some rust. As you can see, the platform itself isn't very It's not super rusty, but it's rusty enough that it looks like it's been around for a while, right? Looks like someone's taking care of it. Looks like somebody has used it, right? We can have the back look like it's the most rusted because maybe the person doesn't reach to the back a lot, right? All right. Now let us work on the brushed steel area. Okay. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be making what looks like a essentially a scratched steel area. And we can do this in a number of ways. One of my favorite ways of doing this is a grunge. Now, I don't fully understand what grunges 100% are, but I do know that they create some really cool looking effects on the thing. So the grunge is, this grunge isn't good. I don't like this grunge. So let's look at some other grunges. So we're looking for a grunge to create what looks like scratches. So this grunge might work out well. So what we can do is once we choose a grunge, we can change the balance of it to go like this. So if you've never used Substance Painter before, the more white an area is, the more prominent it's going to be. So if you were to use a grunge like this entire white area would be mostly what you're applying, with small bits of black here and there, right? But this grunge, you can see there's a lot more black, but there's also a lot more gray and white. And when I go like this, I can then make it so the scratches that I want to apply are very finite. They're not, everywhere. So if I go here and then I go like this, and then we can add some variation to it. So like we can put like a little bit here, a little bit there. Lag for a second. And then we can go over here and we can make this one look a lot more cut up, right? Sorry, headset died. And the reason why we want this to look worse is because we want people to think this was used a lot, right? Now, what we're going to do is, if I can figure out where I went, is we want to go over here, and on the inside of this, we want to make some scratches. Now, this is just me being attention to detail. It's not necessarily needed for it to be good. So I have all of these scratches, but let's say that I don't like how abundantly clear these scratches are. They look so fresh. I don't think that would be realistic. I can go to my erase tool and I can reduce the stroke occupancy down to like 30%, and then I can do this. Actually, what I can do is I can take off all of these three things. So now I only have color. So now my eraser will only erase the color on the thing. So now what I can do is I can make these scratches look a lot less like scratches, like fresh scratches. So there you go. So now what we have here is there are scratches on it, but the scratches aren't super fresh, because we don't want people to think that this has only been was used recently. We want it to look like it's been used over time, because they're going to find it out in the world. And this is going to be the overall theme we're going to go with. We're going to go with, you know, this overall thing. If that makes any sense. All right. So now that we got all that, what we're going to do here is this layer does nothing. We're going to select all of these layers, and we're going to copy layers. Now, the reason why we're copying layers is because I put so much effort and work into this. While applying it to a different UV map may not be exactly how I want it to, it will transfer what I have decided to create using stencils, materials, coloring, height map, and stuff like that. And then I can adjust it / tweak it to each individual part. But the overall theme will go with it. Again, I am no texture maker, so if you think this is silly, then don't be afraid to let me know. But at the end of the day, it's what I want to do. Okay. So let's go here. We're going to delete this layer. We're going to copy paste, and then it's going to, you know, do some funny stuff. Now, as I said, the overall theme of this will remain the same, but what we want to do is we want to do different things. So one of the things we want to do is we want to change the blade to look like a blade. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to, where is it? Diamond. So we're going to add a black mask. And what we're going to do with the black mask is we're going to change the diamond pattern. So I'm going to toggle the mask off, and what we want to do is go to 45. Now what we want to do too is we want to change the color. We want to go black.
I ordered some lunch. Panda Express is coming. I got you both orange chicken bowls.
Now what we're doing is we're lowering the position of the thing.
Please get your schoolwork done. We'll work on history.
And we're going to toggle the mask. Now that we've toggled the mask, what we can do is we can go to our Polygon Fill, and we can fill all the polygons that we want. So if I click on Mesh Fill, I click on that, we now have a blade. Isn't that really cool? So now we have the carbide blade that is used to cut things. All right, so now we have the carbide blade. I think the top should be a different color. Now we could go with a yellow, and I think a yellow would be nice. So let's give that a look at. So it's more green than it is yellow, and I don't like that. There we go. So a little bit dirtier of a thing. Now what we can do is we can make the blade area different than the rest of it. So we can go to our duplicate, all right, what we're doing here is we're adding we're adding masks to it, right? So now what we can do is we can make this mask here its own color. Okay. So we need to find out is this. All right, so now that we did that, we can go to our secondary thing here. And we can make this, let's say, like a good red. Sometimes it takes a little bit of patience to do this. All depends on how good you UV unwrapped your model. I did mine in a little bit of a rush. So you have this bad area. So honestly, I don't like what I'm doing. It looks bad. So we're going to just delete that layer, and then we're going to actually just remove the mask. And I think we're just going to go with a nicer color instead of doing what we were doing. Okay. All right. So I don't like the yellow. I think it doesn't look what it should look like. So why don't we go with like a dark blue? Let's see how that looks. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's hide the rust. Okay, and then let's like take a look at this. How does this look? I think the blue looks nice. Maybe we can make it look a bit faded. Maybe we should just make it look like steel. Maybe we should just go back to the steel look and then dirty it from there. Yeah, like that. Then give it some intensity. Change the roughness to be not too rough. Then we can lower it a little bit. I think that looks really good. I think that looks like a saw. Some black parts. Huh. Neat. I think that looks good. And we add the rust in. Yeah, it looks good. Not necessarily sure I like these dark edges. But it's not that bad, to be honest. Alright. Alright, let's work on the rest of it. So, honestly, I think the rest of this should be steel. Should be pretty much the same thing over and over again. So this is everything put onto it. And I honestly would have no issue if I just went through and made everything pretty much the same rough steel looking kind of thing. Yeah, like that. Maybe maybe add some rust to it. Not like that. We need to get a brush. I don't like that. There we go. That's what I like. Alright, now all we have to do is copy these layers and then pretty much go around and apply it. Alright. Alright. Go to our hexagon bolts. These ones I really don't worry. I'm not too worried about. The static mount is already done. The steel thread. This one might be interesting. Now the steel thread one, we want to make it look like a thread. So the steel thread one is probably going to be the only one that I don't well, most times these blades aren't steel at all. They're like so just to pull up an image of what one looks like. So like this is what one looks like. This is another one. So like they're a blackish looking grindy substance. You know, they look like that. So I think mine on Substance Painter comes pretty close to looking like that. I could make the diamond a lot tighter. Like, if this looks too much like diamond steel, I could technically go back to the blade and then make the diamond far tighter. So I can make it look like that. Yeah, I think like 75 looks good. That way it's like super tight. It's hard to like distinguish. All right, let's go to the steel thread rod. I think that this is, yep. All right, we need to make this using normal mapping look like it's actually threaded. So let's see what I have that can do that. What if I go to my alphas? Yeah, shape lines. I think that will work out well. So we're gonna create a new paint layer. On this paint layer is only going to be height and normal. We're going to remove the substance and we're going to make it grooved. And we're going to put a stencil in. We're going to then rotate the stencil. We don't want any alphas. So boop. And then actually we're gonna go like that. Go like this. Make the bending width really thick. All right. So now, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. Gotta contact my roommate because his food got here. All right. So the only thing I foresee being a problem here is that so you know I was talking about before how alphas work. So alphas work based off of a gradient scale. So the closer to dark you are, the less prominent the height of the thing will be, or less prominent the paint will be, the color. So as you get closer and closer to white, it becomes more and more capacity, becomes stronger in color, stronger in thing. Because all of these lines use the same exact whiteness, I think I'm going to get some awkward looking thing. So I think I have an idea on how to fix that. So we'll see if we can. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go boop. So what I should have done
Your food is out on the stove.
is I should have done this. There you go, like that. So it's not perfect, but let's see how it does look. Now, I only wanted to do height and normal. So that was a mistake. Okay. So height, normal. Okay. So now that we did that, let's look at it in the other perspective. So I don't see any difference. And that's because I did the lines the wrong way. So I should do is I should put the lines like this. Alright, sorry about that. Headset died again. So yeah. So I should put the lines like this instead of the way I did it before. Let's go ahead and make the lines like that. Yeah, we want no bending. We want normal and that. And let's go ahead and make it down like this. And then let's check it out. This might have been a thing that I should have made a thing for. I should have done it in the model. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's see, is there anything else that I can use to make like kind of like a screw look to it? Square vent. No. Ooh, this one might work. Yeah, I think that might work. Oops. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. I wonder if this will look good. Ah, oops, did it wrong again. I think that's how it works. I think that is as good as I'm gonna get it. So, to the trained eye, you can see that it's a screwish kind of thing. It doesn't look. I'm not pleased with it, but whatever. If I wanted to make it better, I'll just put it back into on Blender, give it its own spiral, and then work from there. But because I didn't do that, I'm going to just accept what I made. If nobody here knows me very well, I am a major perfectionist. Through and through. Actually, I think these are the wrong texture sets. There we go. That's the ones I wanted. I think it actually looks good. I'm not going to do anything with that. Alright, folks. And there we have it. So we got ourselves a chop saw. And this is pretty much the entire texturing process. Now, we're going to, of course, make sure we save it. And then we're going to do a rendering array. Now, this is to make it look really pretty. Yak, 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 who cares? Because we want to know if it will look good in Blender. I mean, in Object Builder. So this is just rendering it. And it says it's done rendering. Now what we can do is I have a panoramic view from DayZ. So now we can see what it looks like in DayZ. Oh. Give me a second. Uh-oh.
Serenity, I'll just make it.
I think that's how it works. Alright, so sorry about that, folks. I almost liked out the entire thing. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, sorry about that. Alright. So, you are right. It looks like the power cable and the trigger are not here. Why aren't they? Oh, I know why. Hey, I'm gonna look up something real quick.
Why won't the thing just open? Can you help me?
No. What do you need help with?
Opening it! It's not opening.
What's that hard?
Hello.
Hi.
My stick broke.
Alright. So, you're right. There is no power cable.
Hunter, why didn't you get around to dishes going too?
So no power cable, that kind of sucks. No trigger, that kind of sucks. But we can easily fix this. So, yeah. What I'll do is I will do the smartest thing I have ever done in my life. I say the smartest thing, but it's not really the smartest thing ever, but you know how it works. Alright, so what we can do here is we will go up to our thing. We'll go to File, we'll go to... Actually, before we go there, let's take a look at the possible backface culling. No backface culling there. And no backface culling there. Alright. So now what we can do is go up to our middle chop saw, File, Export FBX, chop saw active. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is something that I would usually not advise, mind you. It depends on how powerful your PC is. My PC is pretty powerful, so I can do this. I can have two things of Substance Painter open at one time. And then, because I'm able to have two Substance Painters, I can do what I call a 1-to-1 ratio transfer. So now, in this one, we have the cable. It looks like it's inverted improperly. At least this part right here. So let's take a look at Blender real quick. No, I'm not gonna worry about that much detail. Also, the pictures I was going off of, so like there is the vent for the motor, but I think that's not necessarily really needed. It adds a lot more verts than I actually really care to worry about. Alright. So in Substance Painter, it looks like this cable is see-through no matter what. So what we do is we go to Mesh, we go to Flip, and now what we can do is we can just File, Export, FBX, Download, Chop Saw, Active Collection. Yeah, it would be cool to add the vents here, but the vent would have to have at least 4 things. Yeah, because like this is already this entire project, this entire model's already 3,000 vertices and 6.1 triangles. So if I can make sure not to increase that, the better, right? Because we all know DayZ has limits on how much of the polys it can. I mean, honestly, every game has limits on how many polys it can thing. It's just DayZ has a very small limit. It's not like GTA 5 where you can put like, was it? I think someone told me like 5 million polys is the max you can do for it. Can you imagine that? Being able to do 5 million polys? You know what we could do is we could go here and we could technically make this into a screw. I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, so now we have this. All we have to do is go to our stuff, and what we're going to do is we're going to just pretty much copy, right click. Oh yeah, we need to bake all the textures first. So I said bake all the textures. Zombie Lead, the limit for DayZ is, from what I've heard, is 35,000 polys. And that's per single model. Most people suggest never to go above 20,000 polys, no matter what. But some things like buildings and stuff like that, can do so because, obviously there's not going to be like 100 of them in one area, in one small area. So, yeah. But a lot of people agree that that many polys is okay. Hmm. Okay, well, that sucks. Looks like I'm not going to be able to do what I thought I could do, which was essentially export the things over. Alright, so all we care about here is technically the trigger and the power cable. We don't care about any of this other stuff. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and just export the trigger and the power cable out of Blender, and we'll call this chop saw misc. I'll just do selected objects. There are some things you can do to like negate the possibilities of having too high polys, but the majority of the time it's not going to work out. Okay, so I want to do is I want to put a plastic on here, and then we're going to put a black mask. We're going to go to here. We're going to go here. Nope. Here. Where'd they go? Oh, there it is. Alright. So, I don't like that. What about plastic gloss? That looks cool. Maybe one day the devs will find it in their hearts to give us control over the possibility of central loot economy spawns. And what we could do once we have, that permission to do so, is we could then make it so items only spawn in a smaller radius than before. So right now, if I remember correctly, the game starts spawning items from like 1,000 meters, right? Or I think it's like 1,200 meters away, and it spawns them, in batches. 50 items here, 50 items there, whatever, right? So what would be cool is if we could control that so-called spawn-in radius. We could make it so it starts spawning in when they're only like 100, like 50 meters from building and stuff like that. I think that would be the best way to go about it. Because as it is right now, we don't have enough control to like really figure out what needs to be done. Yeah, it is wishful thinking. But 3/4 of the shit we've done for DayZ has been wishful thinking. Alright, and then you know what? The trigger, it could be just red. Who cares? So what we're going to do now is we're going to export these. Now, I'm a bit of a messy person when it comes to exporting stuff, so just bear with me. Chop, saw, textures. And we're going to throw it in pictures. Alright, now this is an important thing, and I will, of course, give this to anybody who wants it. When you go to export your textures, first off, what we need to do is we need to go and get rid of all the ambient collision, because we don't want any of that. This will change the look of it a little bit, but not a whole lot. Well, it kind of also explains why, like, houses overall don't have a whole lot of, like, most of the houses aren't explorable. Even the bigger ones, right? And it explains a lot about it, because when you think, hey, they have actually a poly limit, that's why there's houses that don't have every room that's explorable, and why the houses are as small as they are in size. So once you have your textures ready, right? And let's say they're beautiful, they're gorgeous, you love them, oh my god, you are drooling over them. Don't forget to save your projects. And then what you do is you go to File, you go to Export. Now, mind you, the normal export is going to give you a bunch of stuff you don't need. Now what you can do is you can go to your config, and mind you, this is a custom config I have, and now it will change it to SMDI, AS, Co, and NoHQ, which if you know anything about modding, you know that these are your basic DayZ or VMATs. So now we can then go here, we can go to our pictures, we can go to our chop saw texture, select that folder, and then, you know, we can check all this stuff, make sure everything's good. We want it to be 8-bit filtering, and we just go export. Now, because I have so many materials to export and so many things, it'll take a second or two to do so.
On the second rank split of the season, which means your rank almost resets.
I think.
Even though I get sent back to silver 2 instead of bronze 4.
Okay.
So me and my friend, we were both flat, and now we're already gold within the first day.
Nice.
We're hoping to hit either diamond or masters for split, but that's probably not going to happen because he goes away.
There's a bunch of fur coming off the picture.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's pretty constant.
Okay. So now we need to do it for our cable and power thing. So we're just going to go File, Export, go to DayZ Copy. Again, if anybody ever wants it, I can give it to you. I have no problem with it. And then I just like this.
Some Karen yelling at a dude because his husky had a ton of fur during the summer, and then the Karen was yelling at him saying, "You need to shave your dog. Dogs need it."
All right. Now inside of our chop saw. Give me a second. All right. So now I have all of my textures and SMDIs here. Obviously, you can see the trigger SMDI is not perfect. But if I go to my details and go sort by name, you can see all of them right here. And now, with this, I can then go through, make my RV mats, my colors, and apply them in Object Builder to my object. Super cool. This is how it works. This is the whole process to getting a model from being an idea to, you know, a model itself with its geometry, with its faces and everything else, to texturing. And now we're on the path of what I call the implementing phase. The implementing phase is putting in an object builder, making sure the textures actually do work as they should have, and they do work well. Then you have to use, you know, a material editor to edit the RV mats, because the RV mats sometimes don't work perfectly with your SMDI, so you have to fiddle with it a little bit. Then we have to then create the geometry, the fire geometry, the view geometry, the memory points, and then we have to make sure that all of that works in game. So when you spawn it in, walk it, you can't walk through it. When you shoot it with a gun, it sparks, it gives a particle effect / other information based off where you shoot it. So when you shoot a metal part, it should spark metal. When you shoot the carbide blade, it should spark, I don't know, make like probably concrete or stone. You know, if you shoot the power cable, it acts like plastic, so on and so on. And then it's about making sure that it looks okay in the inventory, in the world it looks okay. And then we can go to adding LODs to make it render lower poly from distances. So most models at 0.00 poly LOD render at max poly. So this poly this max poly is 3074 vertices. So when you're standing on top of it, that's what it will be rendered at. Now with at 0.1 poly, I can make it render at, let's say, 2500 polys. And 1.0 is like 10 meters or more. And then 2.0 is like, I think it's like 30 meters or more. 4.0 is like 100 meters or more. And what I do is I make it every time it goes up at LOD number, it renders the model less polys, which is really cool. Oh, hey, Scutless. And that way you can reduce what is called the pop-in lag syndrome. So when people are running into a city, there's something called pop-in lag, and that's because all of the items are being rendered pretty much at once or spawning in. And you'll find that you get a lot more lag when modders actually don't make their models follow the LOD rendering based off distance poly decimation. So when you're running into a city, all the vanilla models render in at like 80% of what 80% less of the polys they're supposed to have. And then as you get closer and closer, those models render in a higher poly all the way up until it reaches the max. Right? So that's why it's very important when you are implementing your models, you optimize them as best as you can. Now, there are some things that don't really matter, like vehicles. Unless a server wants to have like, 70 vehicles all in one area, it's really not that big. Because you're not going to have, 20 vehicles or 30 vehicles in the same area. Even vanilla vehicles would cause issues, right? So if you have an item that is going to be rare or really, really not very common, then you don't need to worry about the optimization of it as much. But the reality of the fact is the more you optimize something, the better off you are. So my friend Lunge gave me a pretty cool little toy to play with. And I just gotta find it. I think it's in the learning center. Yeah, there it is.
I'll get the door open.
So it's a .exe, and what I can do is I can paste this in there. I can then open it up. Of course, I don't care. I trust Lunge. I don't think he's going to try to do anything bad to me. And then what I can do here is I can then go to the path. So I go copy, I paste the texture path, I put the RV path, and then I should get a so I forgot to do one thing. Alright, so what we need to do here is need to close down all these guys. All right. So, all right. Okay. So, now what we did. Okay. All right. Is the mic fixed? There we go. All right. Sorry about that. So, now what we need to do is we need to convert all these guys to a .paa. So, what we do is we go to our DayZ tools. DayZ tools. Okay. And then we just go to image.paa. We go to our pictures, chop saw textures, and honestly, we're just going to, you know what? We're going to go here and we're going to create another one called chop saw PAs. Okay, so here, use custom pictures, chop saw PAA. And we're going to process all these. And then we're going to close this. So how's everybody? Everybody good? We're just waiting for the PAAs to be, the PNG to be converted to PAAs. It shouldn't take too long. Has 32 more files to go through. I know, super exciting, folks, right? Yeah. Alright. Okay, so now what we need to do before we do the phase that I want to show you is we need to essentially take this and put this into a folder in the P drive. So we're going to mount our P drive. It technically was already mounted. It just didn't show up. And I think we're going to put this into the NDG templates. All right. And we're going to make our own let's make a new file called Metal Workbench. All right. In this thing, we're going to make a config dots. Oops. Well, we need a folder anyway. So we're going to call it data. Actually, we're going to call this models. And then we'll call this data. And then in data, we're going to put the chop saw. And then we're going to pretty much copy these straight into there. Okay. So we can close this, and now we can go to our Lunge RV mat creator. Now this is a cool little tool, right? So what you can do is you can push the texture path here, the RV mat path here, and then you choose PAAs if you have PAAs, you choose TGAs if you've got TGAs. And then what you do is you go to, so you can see all of the co-PAs it finds, right? So what it should do is it should pull the name of the co and generate an RV mat named based off of that. So let's see how it works. So it generated a RV mat, and the RV mat is empty named. Yep, see. What am I doing wrong here? Use RV mat? Nope. Okay. I think I know what I need to do. Poop. Oh well, you can just go base. There's the base RV mat. And what's cool about this is if I open this up in Notepad++, there's my base node HQ, my AS, and my SMDI, all properly pathed for me. I don't need to go through and do this myself. So if I go, I believe, if I go like this and go gen overwrite all, it produced all of my RV mats for me. So if we sort you can see I have 13 RV mats. And if I look for the underscore co, well, that didn't work out. Underscore co, I now have 13 underscore co's as well. So yeah, this is a really handy tool. Again, I'm happy to share anything I have with my fellow modders. It takes a little bit to get used to that tool, honestly, but now I can do interesting things, like open up Object Builder, go to my import, believe it was in downloads, chop saw, power cord, import all. Okay, and here is the chop saw to end all chop saws. I call him Chopinator. And yes, I am happy with that name. Do not make fun of it, because Chopinator will get you. No, but seriously, like, Chopinator gets grouchy. Like, really grouchy. So, please don't agitate Chopinator. Alright, so what we're going to do before we apply textures to it, we're just going to take a look at it. We're going to see what it looks like bare naked. For those of you at home, please close your eyes. This is technically modding porn. Oh, that's horrible of me. There we go. And I don't see any backface calling or anything. This is gorgeous. Beautiful. Alright. So all we have to do now is go to our metal workbench, models, chop saw. Now what I like to do is I actually like to copy this path, because it makes it so much easier to do things in the future. So now, most times it doesn't open straight to this, so we're lucky. Bolt. Now, if you are a pro at UV unwrapping, technically what you could do, if you are good at texturing as well, is you could make this entire model one UV. And there are a lot of actually benefits to doing it that way. Now, can I tell you exactly all the benefits? No, but it's still pretty cool. So like most guns have a UV that goes around the entire thing. And what's cool about that is that because it's one texture, it means you only have to retexture one thing if you want to retexture it. For stuff like this, though, it doesn't really matter as much, because technically I'm not going to be really giving people the option to retexture this, because I'm not going to make a model.cfg for it. But, you know, in the future, if I like ever make, let's say, my own, I don't know, like my crossbow. I'm going to make my crossbow retexturable, so having it all one texture would be beneficial for people in the future, right? So, yeah. But I really don't know how to do it. If you want to learn how to do that, Zombie Lee, you could reach out to my friend Lad, the guy who did Lad's Flashlights, and who's been working with Mask quite a bit, and see how that was done. He is an amazing texturer. He pretty much makes me look like a buffoon when it comes to texturing, which is a good thing. Yeah, Lad's a nice guy. I like him. Okay. So let's look at the model. Wow. It actually came out a lot better than I thought it would. I am happy with it. I am very happy with it. So, yeah, I think it looks really good. Maybe the blade RV mat could be messed with a little bit. And there's some backface calling right here. You can see it right there. Yeah. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna exit out of that. Then go to File, Save As, and then we're going to go to RP drive, find the metal workbench, and put it in there. And we're gonna call this I could, if this was actually a wood cutting saw clay, or cutlass, but it's not. It's a metal cutting one. So this is, a polycarbide blade. So it's meant to cut metal, not meant to. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that looks really good. So now we need to work on doing the rest of our things. So we saved that guy. So now we need to look at the other stuff we have. So we have a drill press, a vise, and a grinder. So if we go to where is it? Drill press. So here's our drill press. Okay, so made a bunch of divots on here to make it look like that. I custom modeled all of this, and yes, I put New Dawn on the back of it. I thought that was a really fun thing. And then I even have this New Dawn Incorporated, and then it has all the information of the drill. I didn't do that for the metal saw, but I can go back and fix that up if I want to. But yeah. So let's look at the other ones real quick. Alright, and then we have another New Dawn. Bench grinder. Some weird lighting issues, but that's okay. So I might put this sticker on the chop saw and be all like New Dawn chop saw or whatever to kind of give it that, you know, look. Alright, so we got that, and then the last thing that I need to work on putting into the game is a vise. So here is the vise, and here I have a New Dawn Incorporated stamped into the side of the thing. So I'll probably do that for the chop saw too. I'll probably put that metal emblem or that metal sticker there, that metal plate, and then you know, have it say chop saw or whatever, and then you know, probably put New Dawn somewhere on it. As you can see here, instead of making a model for a bolt to go through this, I actually just put a thing here. So when you put this in Object Builder, this should look like it's raised up and actually look like a hex bolt. So those are all the models I got to implement. But yeah. It's getting on to it just hit the 2-hour mark. I try not to go too long on these kind of things, because I do upload them to YouTube for people to watch, and sometimes a 2-hour video can be really long to watch. So guys, thank you very much for watching.